How much house can we afford? I get asked this question all the time. And it may seem like a loaded question, but the answer is not what you may think. For example, did you know that the market and its conditions in the area you're reporting to or looking to buy in absolutely have nothing to do with how much house you can afford? May seem surprising, but that's right, the market has nothing to do with it. Luckily, there are 3 key factors to take into consideration that you likely haven't already thought of in determining how much house you can afford. Now, before I dive into those, be sure you like and follow this page and have subscribed to the channel so that way you always are first to get news and awesome answers to questions just like this. New to me? My name is Julie Calza. I'm the leader and founder of Calza Co., which happens to be #1 for VA real estate in the state of Arizona. So it's safe to say that I spend my days answering questions just like this and guiding families just like yours through the intricacies of the VA loan product, whether they be buying or selling. But aside from that, I served in the Marine Corps and my husband is active duty in the United States Air Force. So I live this life every day. I've been in your shoes. Now let's dive into those 3 factors. The first one is lifestyle. I know that seems simple, but it's really not, because it needs to be the leading driving factor in determining how much house you can afford. No one else should determine the lifestyle that you are living or want to be living, not well-meaning supervisors, coworkers, or even friends and family. Only you can determine what you want your life to look like. Do you absolutely adore eating out at restaurants and exploring new foods, or going to specialty markets and then cooking for yourself on the weekends? Well, then you might want to actually be in proximity to those things. Do you have hobbies that are kind of expensive and you need to make sure that you have freedom in your budget to accommodate pursuing those interests? That's another thing to take into consideration in your lifestyle. These are all things that you have to deeply consider, because your lifestyle at the end of the day really helps to determine not only your happiness, but your productivity. So don't overbuy a house or buy a house simply because it's cheap without taking this factor into consideration. The second factor you need to take into consideration is your BAH. Now, BAH is basic allowance for housing for those of you new to the military life. It is calculated based on the average cost of living for the areas surrounding your duty station. Now, it is an average, right? It is an allowance given to you in your pay, but it is calculated based on a formula that you had nothing to do with. So it definitely shouldn't be telling you how much you should spend on a house. BAH is a great tool to use as a benchmark, but it definitely shouldn't just automatically be an answer as to what your budget is. Let's say you have a high car payment. Well, if you max out your BAH, that won't leave you a whole lot of room to pursue your interests, right? So you want to make sure that, yes, you're aware what the BAH is and you're using it as a tool to determine how much house you can afford, but you're not using it as the automatic answer to the question of how much house can I afford. Now, the third factor you want to take into consideration are your goals. We all have some big dreams and desires of what we might want our life to look like, and you should be doing everything you can now to make steps in that direction. So, for example, if your dream is to, once you get out of the military, to travel the world on your own terms, well, you want to be setting aside money to do that. If you overspend on a house now, then you may not have the capability to meet that lifelong goal, right? So, whether your goals are lifelong or shorter term, be sure that when you're asking the question, how much house can I afford, they're in the back of your mind. So that way you're using your life and this precious time you have to make steps towards the bigger picture. Buying a house is a great investment that can end up serving that purpose of yours. However, you want to make sure that it's not hindering it or your pursuit of things that interest you. Thank you so much for watching. These have been 3 factors that you definitely want to take into consideration in answering the question, how much house can I afford? Now, these 3 factors may not have given you a mathematical answer to this amazing question, but they should serve as guides to help you get to the answer that will serve you best. So be sure you take these 3 factors into consideration, but also understand the rule of thumb, which is do not spend more than 25% of your household income on housing. I'll see you next time. Bye.